Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have a book review of an independently published book titled Murder at the Harvey House, a Beatrice Adams mystery by Ari Ryder. This is an independently published book through Poison Apple Publishing. This book got onto my radar because I went to high school with the younger sister of the author, and actually went to the same college as the author, and so I had a few connections, and so their family reached out to me asking if I wanted to read the book and review it, and I thought, you know what? I had a big Agatha Christie kick at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and it's been several months since I did like a hardcore mystery, and so I wanted to do one, and this served as a perfect way to do that and help out their family. So I decided to read the book, and I was so glad that I did, because this is just a delightful book. A delightful book. What makes this book so good for me is the feeling that it has. It feels like a late 1920s, early 1930s story. We're getting so many terms and types of things happening that were very much unique to the 20s. All of the types of outfits that the characters are wearing feel like they were from the 20s. All of the actions that they take and the dialogue that they use feels like it's from the 20s. There are so many times where this person would use some type of idiom, some type of term, and I would be like, oh, that's totally something from the 20s. Or they make a reference to someone, and I'm like, yeah, that's a 1920s mobster, or that's a 1920s actor, or something. And so you'd get all of these great references to the 20s that would make you feel immersed in the story. In fact, there were a few what I would call Easter eggs, which were not just references, but like super deep cut references that Ari Ryder makes to people in history in the 20s that I really thought was interesting. So the feeling of it is very good. I also like the way she writes the characters. The main character of Beatrice Adams, who is a former Hollywood starlet turned into a detective. She is, very good at the job, but she's also very new at the job. So you're seeing her as she's starting to get into detective work, and we see her make a few mistakes, actually. But we also see her cousin, who works with her, and then we see her. She's traveling from one to a vacation home, and she stops at this a hotel, a Harvey House, and all of a sudden, one of the Harvey girls is murdered, and so her job is to go and try to figure out who murdered the Harvey girls. And the weakest element of the book is the mystery itself. I thought that it was not as clear who was potentially a suspect, how many suspects there could be, who they'd ruled out at any particular point, and who was still on the list. It was very hard to follow all of that. By the end of the book, you do, but sometimes the goal of mystery books is also to make the audience try to figure it out as well, and I really wasn't trying to do that because I was trying to figure out who was still potentially a candidate. And another problem with this is that it tries to cover too much. I think she could have cut some of the murder stuff in this a little bit, and it would have worked out a little bit better. It's hard to explain that without giving something away, but I think she could have cut a little in the murder department. Also, something that I actually really did like about this book was it still felt fairly fast-paced. Things are happening throughout the novel, and it takes away a little bit of the mystery because most mystery novels, you find out who did it in the last chapter or the penultimate chapter. That's a lot of Agatha Christie novels are that way. Some Agatha Christie novels, it's the final page. Crooked House is that way. Then you have some mysteries, such as Knives Out, where you find out who did it in the beginning, and then in the middle you learn, oh no, middle towards the end you find out, oh no, it's actually something else. This one, in the middle, we kind of find out who did it, and then there's more information later on in the book. So I thought it was a unique twist. Here's what I say. The actual writing style, the verbiage used, the terms used, the dialogue, the language used is very old school, and it very much fits the 20s. But the plot structure feels a little bit more like a modern novel, a modern mystery book, which actually I think works well for Ari Ryder. She can keep modern mystery fans interested, and it doesn't just feel like she's a rehash of Agatha Christie tropes, which she gets a lot of the Agatha Christie tropes done in this book, but it's not all. There's enough twists and turns that you're like, oh, that's an interesting change. One thing I really like about this book is it has impeccable artwork for being an independently published book, and it has a great copyright page. I thought the copyright page was really well done, and so this is a very well put together book as a whole. It has very pretty medium print, but it has small font size, kind of. That's hard to describe. Like, there's not much room between the lines, so there's still a lot of words on each page. So even though it's only about 240 words, it's more like a standard, or 240 pages, it's more like a standard 300-page novel. But I still had a blast reading this book. It is very fast-paced, very interesting, and again, the weakest part of it is the mystery. But I still would give it a 9 out of 10, because if you fix my issues in the mystery, the book becomes just amazing. It's just a superb. The writing style alone, and the word choice and the diction and the language used, that alone to me is enough for this book, not just because of the mystery. So those are my thoughts on Murder at Harvey House. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you want me to read more and review more independently published books? Leave those kind of comments down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.